Hi, I'm Jason Weaver, and I can see what you're doing on the other side of this screen.
And I'm Eric Kostecki.
Stop touching yourself!
You don't have to stop, just finish, there you go. There you go. Clean yourself up, you disgust me. Now you know us. Line! Now you know us, we like shows with something to say.
Shows that dare to ask the big question.
Have you ever tried to fuck a box?
Shows that teach men how to be men.
Make them grovel and then shit on their hopes and dreams.
Shows that
Fine!
Shows in which homeless people are quirky and whimsical instead of the cult that raised me.
Well, no need to expand on that. Let's get to our review of Arakawa Under the Bridge.
I ate a live turtle! Koichi Nomiya has everything going for him. He's the young, strapping, anal-retentive heir to his father's billion-dollar corporation, and he's achieved his own personal wealth due to being raised to never be indebted to anyone. So when a bunch of kids decide to show this fucking 1%er what's what by stealing 100% of his pants and sticking them high on a bridge, he decides to get them down himself. Gravity then decides his time is better spent drowning. Thus, he slips and falls into the river below. His life is saved by a homeless girl who happened to be fishing off the bridge. Good for his continued breathing, but now he considers himself in debt to the girl, who to his frustration doesn't want anything he could buy her as a reward. She has this crazy idea that the point in helping people isn't getting something in return. She also has this crazy idea that she's from Venus, not like the book, like the actual planet that rains acid.
Undeterred by her questionable heritage, Ko persists that she name anything she wants from him, so for the sake of getting him to chill out, the girl, named Nino, says she wants to experience love and they agree to become boyfriend and girlfriend, the terms of which include him joining the whole Under the Bridge community located in Arakawa, Tokyo. There's gotta be a shorter way to say that. Using his wealth, Ko moves his room into one of the bridge's support pillars, and Nino starts introducing him around, whereupon we find out the community isn't so much lacking in home as it is in sane people. First, he meets the chief, who believes himself to be a creature of Japanese folklore called a kappa, in spite of his obvious costume not fitting properly and the zipper showing. He renames Ko as he does with every resident, giving him the title of Recruit, or Rick for short. And we'll stick to calling him that, otherwise this review might get even more confusing. Rick ends up being a bit divisive among the profound weirdos. Some are fine with him, others want his ass kicked all the way back to whatever the Japanese equivalent of Wall Street is.
The ones who don't like Rick mostly don't like him in the way that they want to look out for Nino's best interest. But then there's Hoshi, a burned out musician who wears a star on his head and constantly tries to break up Rick and Nino, because he was so in love with her that he forgot to do anything about it. Luckily, his plans are about as well put together as his songs, and usually end up not affecting or growing their relationship instead. He mocks Rick for not having gone on an actual date with Nino. Yeah, like you need to do that. Rick responds by going on a date with Nino. Rick tries impressing Nino with his ultimate fancy, close half the city with his money date, to which he begins acting more alien until the plan is abandoned in lieu of a stroll down to the mouth of the river, demonstrating all the while neither of them are equipped for normal dating, don't completely understand each other, and never will, and end up a more convincing couple than 90% of what's on TV right now.
Rick finally grasps the concept of being content with doing things just to make someone else happy by freeing a leaf boat Nino had tried to send out to sea from some debris, and falling in love happens. Rick is then faced with the task of getting everyone else under the bridge on his side. See, the people living in the community all contribute in some way. Nino gathers fish for meals, Hoshi performs at any events they hold, the chief plans everything, etc. Everybody hates Rick because they see him as just mooching off of his girlfriend. But he'll teach them. Literally, he decides to become a teacher. His class, however, only consists of 2 boys who are a mental mess to prevent, quote, the people from the lab finding them, a little girl who will either grow up to be a mob boss or at least a henchman to a mob boss, and Nino because supportive girlfriend, good stuff.
So everything's starting to work out. He's building a life.
Wrong!
2 of Rick's employees spot him and step in to ask why he hasn't been into the office. Rick's attempt to disguise the bridge people as employees in training goes about as well as expected, and he is told that since he and Neo haven't even kissed yet, it's time to stop playing house with the homeless girl and go back to his actual house. Cliche, yes, but at least the characters involved are the kind of creeps who would make creepy demands like that. Nino proves that the relationship is real, and Rick has his first kiss at the age of 21. Come on, man. Get your head in the game.
Seriously! I'll show myself out.
Rick's employees decide he's earned some affection in his life. However, they have to report to his dad that the future heir to his company is spending his time with, among others, a male British mercenary dressed as a nun and a Yakuza couple dressed as a bird and a bee. Birds and bees. Holy shit, I just got that!
Rick's dad, upon realizing his son is one of those pesky free wills, puts in a bid for the land under the bridge for development, effectively kicking everyone out. Rick contemplates leaving on the off chance that his dad will cancel his plans, thus saving everyone at the cost of never seeing them again like the end of some lame second act of a lame coming-of-age / action movie, only to get over it in the span of like 30 seconds, thanks to Nino reminding him that he has a special place there as both her lover and an unlicensed educator. Emboldened by skirting Hollywood convention, Rick devises his own plan to outbid his dad for the construction rights. However, the construction company he hires pulls out due to being scared off by competing with his dad and being anywhere near the bridge people, leaving Rick only one option: to call his father and convince him personally to cancel his plans. But that is really scary, so he doesn't do it right away.
Speaking of his dad, his own project fell through because someone else who wants to leave the bridge as is got the rights from the minister at the last minute. With all the anger a middle-aged Japanese business mogul can display, he heads down to the bridge himself and runs into Nino, nearly the exact same way his son did. Even after telling him how much his son has changed and made her life better, Rick's dad leaves without his son, or his pants, or even his son's pants. When Rick finally gets the courage to call his dad, Nino discovers his dad's phone in his pants, and she hears him say he plans to stay with her under the bridge for the next season and all the future seasons that may or may not ever be. Aww.
As far as the second season goes, there's even less plot than the first. The closest thing to an overarching plot is a series of tests to prepare everyone for a trip to Venus. That's not to say it's bad. There are some really standout moments like Rick and Nino's first major argument and making up, even though it also introduces the worst character in the series. And that's really the worst thing I can say about it. This is weird. My hate has no power here. I demand change!
What could have been a bland, normal character surrounded by crazy supporting cast actually becomes a fairly entertaining one in his own right. Rick is almost insufferably perfect by normal standards, and he knows it. He's smart, a black belt, plays multiple instruments, has all of the money, but learns how much of his debt-free upbringing really amounts to when his neighbors is a British man in nun drag and calls himself Sister. 3 thumbs up!
Incredibly blunt and taking everything at face value, Nino is an odd duck, but by no means a badly written one. Her profound weirdness is understandable as it becomes evident she, like many of the other residents, is escaping from something and never finding out what it is adds to her character, since what it is isn't the point. Whole box of thumbs up! They'll never find me now!
Arakawa is a nice, light-hearted, and harmless comedy. The quick episode structure helps keep focus on the comedy without the worry of an overarching plot. The show's atmosphere is something like you would expect out of Alice in Wonderland, and the jokes follow suit. It's weird, but you know that everything that's happening makes sense to the characters involved. Most of the jokes are based around this fact, so at times I found it a little predictable, but overall it made me laugh, which is one of the biggest factors of judging a comedy, strangely enough. The one complaint I have is that the plot, when there is one, doesn't really go anywhere. The anime ends just as it starts to get going, and the manga is still pretty far from over. It kind of kills the ending for me, since I know that I won't get closure on the show for a while. But then again, I watch One Piece, so what do I know? In the end, Arakawa is a great show, and I would recommend picking it up for a couple of quick laughs.
Those with a penchant for absurdist humor will get the most out of Arakawa Under the Bridge. But then again, so will people looking for some of the best romantic leads and overall characterization anime has to offer. And then also people who like amazing visuals with crisp and vibrant colors. This is Studio Shaft, to expect less is pure silliness. Admittedly, the plot is not the focus, some of the side characters aren't as strong as the others, and because of the culture barrier, non-Japanese fans will just not get some of the jokes. Then again, these are the pettiest gripes I've had come up with in a long time. Watch the thing. Well, I don't know about you, but I really learned a lot from today's show. Like how most people are homeless by choice.
Turtles are hard to eat.
And delusional nutjobs are best kept away from society, where their conditions can fester and become progressively worse, as opposed to somebody affording them the therapy that they so desperately need.
Hey, kind of like what you do.
You and your jokes. I'm gonna tell that one to my clone army before I use them to dominate the surface dwellers. Yes.
You'll have to speak up. I'm wearing a towel.
You want to spend the night at my house? The couch may not pull out, but I do.
Okay, children, let's start the day with a few new math problems. What is 5 times 2? Yes, Clyde?
12?
Okay, now let's try to get an answer from someone who's not a complete retard.